Now, Jess.
All right.
Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight, I have something really special for you. Tonight, our guest is Jessica Ball, kidney patient, toxic medication victim, blogger, seeking a kidney transplant, and needs a living donor. Jessica is married to her high school sweetheart, Derek. She has one son, Gage, who is autistic. Her husband is a carpenter who does restoring, remodeling, and building homes. Jessica is currently on in-center hemodialysis, but looking to go back home and needs a kidney to live. Her kidney story started when she was in her early 20s. She had a toxic reaction to a medication that caused her kidneys to fail. Her doctors have recommended a living kidney donor transplant, which would allow her to take care of her son and support her husband. Jessica plans to be more active as a kidney advocate once this is accomplished, as currently her health limits her activities.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica is working with the National Kidney Registry and would accept a direct kidney donation as well as an indirect paired donation. The NKR could also offer her a voucher donation. This includes compatible and incompatible donors. She wants you to know that through the NKR's Donor Shield program, a donor who donates on her behalf would have the cost of all hospital and medical bills covered. Lost wages, lodging, and more may be available through the NKR. And if you look at your screen, here is the link to Jessica's NKR story. And as you know, my habit is I always take the broadcast, I connect it and pin it to the top of my personal Facebook page. And in the comments to my Facebook page, I put all my research. So all of the links that I'm going to show you tonight are pinned to the top of my Facebook page and in the comments. So if they stream by too fast, don't worry, you can find them. To see if you're qualified to donate to Jessica, please follow the following link that is now screaming across your screen. This is on the same page as her NKR story. So if you want to check the initial qualification, you can do that. And to find out more about the donor support protections, that likewise, there's a link on her NKR page. So here's the link to that. And the NKR takes care of their donors like nobody else. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, I've had the president on, I've had other people on from their organization. So you know that's real, and you know your Uncle Jim knows what he's talking about when he talks about the NKR. So we would ask very kindly that you share her NKR kidney story and microsite page. That's what they call it, a microsite, as well as this broadcast to help out to try and find a live donor for Jessica. So please give a warm welcome to our friend Jessica Ball. Jessica, how are you doing this evening?
I'm all right, Uncle Jim. I'm all right. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, happy to do it. Very happy to do it. Did I state everything correctly in the introduction?
Yes, you did.
Great, great. I understand that you are a married lady. You're married to a man named Derek.
Yeah.
This is your high school sweetheart, right?
Well, we actually met in like middle school.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
yeah, and at this point, we're 38 and 40, and we've been married 10 years in June, but we've pretty much been together our whole lives.
Okay. And the anniversary date is that June 26th?
Yes.
Okay. And you have one child, Gage. How old is Gage now?
Gage is 11 and a half, and he's on the spectrum. He's very high functioning, super brilliant. Um, he's a little socially awkward, but he's a love bug and he cares about everybody. He just talks your ear off. He's a good boy. I'm really lucky. And yeah, he's good enough. I didn't need any more.
Okay. What does your husband do for a living?
He's always been a carpenter. When we were like 16, he started doing roofs and he just kept going from there. And at this point, he's literally in New Jersey while I'm in New Mexico while he's rebuilding his dad's house. His dad has 5 acres in South Jersey, and there's multiple dwellings on that property, and they're very old and they really need a lot of attention. And my father-in-law is not in a position, nor is he skilled. He's a mechanic and he's retired at this point. So my husband's out there for the next few months, rebuilding his dad's house and the other dwellings on the property. He's going to come here for Christmas and then he'll have to go back. But it is what it is. He's a family man and that's all right. You know, he needs to help his family. So I'm just sitting tight, waiting for him to come back.
Great, great. Please tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your education, and your employment history.
Well, I grew up in South Jersey, right outside of Atlantic City. So, a little town called Egg Harbor Township. It's about 20 minutes from the beach, and it was really good living. Went to really good schools, just public, but New Jersey is like, I don't know, the top literally 5 to 10 in the nation for education. The school district I went to currently is 11th in 77 districts in the state of New Jersey. It's a great place. Um, I didn't do any college or anything. I literally jumped into waitressing and I loved it. I love people. I love feeding people. I'm Italian. I love hanging out and making them smile and serving them and bringing people together. And it's just, I love it. I love the pace of it. I love everything about it. I have done diners to banquet serving. Unfortunately, this past summer I did try to go back to work after not working for a couple of years and I was like, well, I can't waitress, especially because the arm that I'm tray dominant is actually my arm that they do work on for my dialysis, and so therefore I can't lift trays. But I thought about hostessing and I did it for about a month and it was way too much, even just walking up and down the restaurant quickly to see people in a day in a rush. 25, 30 hours a week was too much and I had to admit self-defeat on that and not work. It um it it was just the fatigue of dialysis and in between is so hard, that trying to do all that active running around in a restaurant just wasn't for me anymore and it broke my heart. Currently my family owns a business. They've owned it since I was 16 and they advertise lunch specials for pizzerias in New Jersey and well, really anywhere. If they have delivery, it's all fine and dandy. So I'm going to be working for my family from home, lunchboxspecials.com. It's, web and faxing and emails, and it's just lunch specials for different restaurants. It's
Oh,
easy
wonderful.
work. I can do it from home. Yeah.
Great. Great. Let's talk about when you were first diagnosed with kidney disease. My notes tell me you were diagnosed around 2018. Is that right?
Yes. So I had an episode. I was driving down the street and my vision went weird. Like I couldn't see. So I pulled over. I called my husband. I'm like, I don't know what to do. He's like, go to the hospital, obviously. I was like, no, 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 no. And it came back and I drove home right down the street. I get home, I drink Gatorade now. And mind you, at the time I was sick with the flu. So obviously I'm hydrating with Gatorade, not thinking that it's a bad thing. Excuse me. Turns out I go to the emergency room anyway, and I hear the nurses whisper, stage something. And I just perked up. At 2018, I was like 32 years old. And I perked up and was like, stage what? And they were like, don't you know? And I was like, no, I don't know anything. What are you talking about? And they were like, you have stage 3 chronic kidney disease. You need a nephrologist like yesterday. And I was like, I did not know. Okay. So basically, I was poisoning myself, overdosing on electrolytes, caused the vision to blur in the middle of the road, kind of thing. It was terrible. I'm puking, so I'm drinking, but I'm puking because I was drinking, not because of the flu. I was taking in too much. I had water that had electrolytes in it. I had Gatorades, and it turned out that that started my journey in nephrology. When I got to nephrology, they did the kidney biopsy, and with medical history, determined it was lithium toxicity. I was taking lithium through my early 20s, and while taking it, it had me sleeping like 18 to 20 hours a day for this 5, 6 years or so, right? And everybody thought it was me being bipolar, and I was supposed to be getting labs drawn, but I had a doctor from New Jersey prescribing this medication while I bounced around the country in my bipolar young age. So she filled this medication while I was in Alabama. She filled it while I was in New Mexico. And I didn't find out until many years later, 2018, that I had the problem. In that biopsy, they also found that I had um, uh, something in my bone marrow. And so then they had to do a bone marrow biopsy, and it turned out okay. And it was rough start. It was a really rough start. I definitely was preemptive about everything. I got on dialysis early. I tried different varieties, but yeah, it's that's how I kind of got into it all. That's how I found out. It was awful to be, you know, I went home and I literally sat on my porch and I just got lost in my mind and stared into nothingness and I thought my life was over. Um, it took me a couple more years before I was actually sick enough to need dialysis. I have residual kidney function, which is really great. Um, but I've been on dialysis now since probably about a year and a half, 2 years, 2 years this December. That's right, 2 years. Um, and
Jessica, are you there? Uh-oh.
I can,
Jess, if you are you there?
yes.
Okay, good. Um, let's talk a little bit about your dialysis history because it's kind of an interesting
Yeah.
history. You
So,
mentioned, let me ask my question. You mentioned that back in, I believe, December of 2022, you initially started dialysis at home, PD, peritoneal dialysis,
correct.
but you got a terrible infection and you were forced off of dialysis. Is
Correct.
that what, is that correct?
Yes. So
Tell
I
us a
went
little
on to
bit about what
PD.
happened.
Yeah, I tried to do PD. They said it was a great option for me. It gives you a lot of freedom. And it really is a wonderful modality, but for me, it wasn't. So I'm a belly sleeper, and there's just no other way I can sleep. And obviously, you can't sleep on your belly when you have this in in your tummy. And then the other thing is the pressure of what they call dwelling. So you would fill up. You would fill up the tube that's in your belly button area. Like I have a scar right here. That's the scar. This is my belly button. So there's the scar, and that's where the tube sat. And I had a pole and lines and bags that hung, and I would put all that medicine into my peritoneal cavity, and it would dwell for X amount of time on prescription. You would drain, maybe refill, depending. And then in this dwell time, you're not hooked up to anything. You can go walk around, go to the grocery store, come home, drain. It's all fine and dandy. You can do this nocturnally as well. I chose not to. I did not like the suction pain. So I didn't want to wake up to that pain. The suction pain is when that tube touches the wall while it's got the gravity of, drain of the draining, and it's not comfortable and I didn't like it. I didn't do the night one because I would wake up to that and I was kind of freaked out about it. And I did have a hard time sleeping. I did manual fill and dwell and drain, which meant like I was doing it on my own without a machine at night. I was doing it during the day, and I didn't like the feeling of that pressure of the dwell. It also causes some hiney issues, and that was another problem I was running into. The pressure was causing issues that were destroying like my day-to-day life. So I ended up doing it anyway, and I got a recalled. So I didn't know I got peritonitis, didn't know why. They removed it. I still had residual function and I needed to lose weight to get a living donor. So my nephrologist put me in a program with his colleagues and generously got me a spot, that was just, paid for or whatever have you, a favor. I'm not sure. For 2 months, I learned mindful eating and whatnot. I was not on dialysis. Right before I went on to dialysis again, I got a letter in the mail. I had a recalled Baxter mini disconnect cap. It was not sealed properly. Air had gotten into the packaging, and the sponge with iodine had been dried out or contaminated with air. And there was really nothing I could do about it. I chose to not do that modality anymore.
Okay. So you were off of PD dialysis until April of 2023. Is that correct?
E-
That's what my notes
yes,
tell me.
yes, 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 yes.
Okay. I understand then that you were back in center on in center hemodialysis with a catheter. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep. So I had a catheter that they put in my chest and in my neck, and it basically went into my artery and then into my right atrium of my heart. The lumens is the lines, is what they're called, and they kind of sit like there's one where they're gonna pull dirty blood out, and there's one where they're gonna put clean blood back in. And the lumens sit really close, so sometimes you end up recycling the same blood. It's not really the best option. It's harder on the heart. However, for me, it was the easiest option. It was so easy, in fact, that I wasn't even in center long. I took that modality and did it at home, and I was really good at it. But the chest catheter is not ideal. And when my doctors told me that the, donors weren't working out, I should really consider the fistula in my arm. That's what I did per their recommendation.
Okay. My notes tell me that October 2nd of 2023 is when they put the fistula in your
Yes,
your
yes, they
left.
they did. They took my left arm and they put an incision right there on my wrist. I don't know if you can see it, probably not, but they put an incision. It's probably about this big. They went in and they connected a vein to an artery to grow an artery out of that vein to use for my dialysis lifeline. So in October, they go in and they placed the fistula, made the connection, and it takes some time to mature. And in that time, I was still doing chest catheter, but I was getting little mini infections on the exterior, and they kept thinking it was infected, and they would pull it out and replace it. So I've had a couple of them, and then we tried to, that's what Facebook does, or my iPhone does. Um, After they thought it was about ready, they let me work on my fistula. It wasn't ready, and they had to go in and fix a few things. I had some veins that were stealing blood from the big artery we were growing. Once they fixed that, then we moved on to training.
Okay. And when did you start training for home dialysis?
The first round of on the fistula home dialysis was January of this year. And in March, February or March, I was um, trained and I was passed and graduated as a solo hemodialysis patient at home with my fistula, meaning I cannulate, stick myself with needles, pull my needles out. I make sure my medicine is where it belongs, the machine is what it needs to do, all the safety checks. I'm basically doing everything for myself, but because it's at home, I have so much flexibility. If something comes up, you still have 24 hours in a day to get your 3 hour treatment in, instead of only having that 4 hour window 3 times a day in center, which is sometimes really hard for me to, get to. So my attendance is 100% when I'm home, and that's really, I already told them, like, let's do the training again. They said they only need to give me a quick refresher because it's in the same calendar year. And they'll come here and install my machine and everything, and it'll be great. I'll be able to sit home in my own private space, comfortable, do my treatment, 5 treatments a week, usually 3 hours each treatment. And there's so much flexibility. It's so great. I could travel with it too. I don't have to worry about making arrangements at different centers and things. I mean, although I don't have to take it with me. I can travel and just use a center, but I can also take the machine with me on a cruise boat with my medicine for free. So it's really flexible when you're a home patient on any of the,
Right.
catheter, fistula, graft, PD. Home dialysis is amazing. It's easier on the body because they're not doing it as hard as fast. It spreads your treatments out that you feel better because you're not getting 3 hard treatments, you're getting 5 soft treatments. It's great.
Okay. After you were back at home with fistula and you
Yes.
were self-cannulating the first time, I understand that you ended up back in center. How did that happen?
I was just struggling. My fistula was really like brand new. It wasn't as big as I had hoped it would be, and I was struggling. So if I went and I stuck it and I didn't get the flashback in the line that tells me it's in there, I thought I wasn't where I needed to be. If I pulled it out, I'd squirt. So I was like, oh, I must have pierced it somehow. And it would kind of freak me out. I was really new. I never really saw. I got the fistula placed and I went right to training. I never really sat in centers and got to watch like I did my catheter before I went home. And I was really good and I trained in a little bit faster than most people. Signed off and I was doing great, but without the nurses around, I was really nervous. I was struggling to self cannulate and I ended up going back into center. I also moved. And with moving, I wasn't in a place where I could do home therapy, home dialysis. So I've been in center since May, or no, March, April, something like that.
March or April of this year, 2024.
Yeah,
Okay. And currently you're working toward getting back
transplant.
home again.
Yeah, getting back home. So Transplant loves to see that. Transplant loves to see when we're doing home therapy versus being in center. And they obviously love to see that you are dedicated and determined and able to take care of yourself. They want to know that they're giving that kidney to someone that's going to take care of themselves, and they don't want to waste nobody's time. So it kind of gives you a couple of points to be home, and it's just you feel better. I'm trying to get them to do it as soon as possible, right after Christmas, hopefully.
Fingers crossed, Jessica.
Yes, yes.
Tell us a little bit about your current health status. How are you feeling?
Well, today I'm under the weather, actually. I went to the doctor. Me and my son are sharing a sinus infection and bronchitis. But other than that, I'm just really fatigued. I'm very tired. I I just feel exhausted, and I feel I feel like I just need that kidney transplant because at this point it's getting really tough. You know what I mean? It's tough on me, it's tough on my husband, it's tough on my son, it's tough on my whole family. It hurts. It's not a good, pleasant time. Um, right now, I'm I'm at the bottom of like the modalities that are best for you. This is the least best for you, which is going in center because you get the least amount of cleaning and stuff. So you can imagine I feel worse now than I would if I was at home and getting more treatments throughout the week. Those treatments are very hard and fast and they make me feel like crap. It takes me a long time to bounce back and there's nothing I can do but let my body adjust. Your body adapts to survive. So as you're eating things and you're taking your binders, I take medicine for potassium and phosphorus binders. Your body is adapting to survive because my blood is dirty. I don't have kidneys. But then you get to the machine at the clinic and in center, and they do the work of your kidneys in 4 hours for a couple of days' work of your kidneys in 4 hours. It's hard, it's painful, it's draining. On top of that, I'm anemic, so I'm constantly getting iron infusions. Um, Diet restrictions and stuff is not a good time. And if I do eat the wrong things, boy, do I know it. It's a roller coaster ride right now. Just literally
Okay,
trying to save my life.
right. Just so people understand, because I've been through this too. When you go in center, you go 3 times a week, 4 hours a
Correct.
shot.
Yeah.
When you're doing dialysis at home, it's continual dialysis. You do it every day, you do it so many hours a day, and it's more like your real kidneys.
Yes.
So that's preferable to
Oh,
doing
yes.
in-center hemodialysis for that reason because it does a
Yeah,
better job of cleaning.
it
Are
does.
those fair statements?
Very much so. Very much so. It's gentler because it doesn't have to do so much work in such a short time. You do it for most people, the standard is 5 days a week and then X amount of hours. For me, on the chest catheter, it was 5 days a week, no 2 days off in a row. So I could do 2 days off, but they can't be side by side. There has to be a dialysis day in between. And then it was for 2 hours and 47 minutes. It was beautiful.
Okay. I understand that um, you are looking for um, a living kidney donor. Can you please explain why your doctors are recommending a living kidney donor over a deceased kidney donor?
Well, first and foremost, a living donor, the kidney is alive and just put onto ice and brought back. It's coming from a living donor, it has potential to last longer than it does for deceased donation. Also, with deceased donation, it's kind of luck of the draw. So they're going to call and they're going to say, "Hey, Jessica, we have a kidney ready for you. You need to come in and you have 2 hours stat testing." Okay. They've actually called me once. They called me once as a runner up. I was second in line for a kidney, and they called me. I get to the hospital, do all my testing, go home and wait for the call. Unfortunately, it wasn't my time, but it's, I don't know, with being on the list and everything, a deceased donor isn't the same when you're a live donor. Whether you're actually, do you know the best thing is getting a paired donation that's indirect. And the reason for this is because even though you're my blood type, somebody else out there may be a better match for me than you. So I think the better match program is amazing, although I'm willing to take a kidney from deceased donor, living donor. Don't get it messed up, I'm grateful for whatever comes, but the optimal um, route for me would be a living donor, and to see if there's a better match. And within the UNOS and National Kidney Registry, what happens is that person would test. This could be if you're my blood type or not my blood type. You would test, and then you would say, okay, I would like to donate on Jessica Bow's behalf. So then you're going to go and give your kidney to them. And right away, usually a couple of days to a couple weeks, I have a very common blood type. I'm very young. I have no other underlying conditions that cause this, like high blood pressure, diabetes, nothing. This is damage from medication from a doctor that did me wrong. I'm healthy other than these kidneys. The idea is to get the best match possible. And that's just kind of where I'm at now. Living donors, it's easier recovery than it would be else. I don't know how to say it. Like, they don't have to do as much because when you're taking a deceased donor, they have to pull so much more of the, just not just the kidney, but I believe they pull all the way up like towards the aorta. They take a lot of of the deceased person, and then they've got to work with that. And when it's a paired, whether you're my blood type or not, it's a lot easier. We've got a live person and just healthier tissue. It's the best route. Deceased donors, um, there's a lot more risk for issues. Sleepy kidneys not waking up. They say that, they put it in you and they can't wake it up and make it pink, and it was just a waste of kidney. I'm back on dialysis again, is what would happen. You have less chance of that with paired. They've got a lot more cross-matched typing they can do on us. You can do your testing from anywhere, like right in your hometown. You can do your donation there and they will fly that kidney to me. It's really amazing. And living donors have great protection. I don't know if I think you posted it earlier, Donor Shield. It's amazing. They offer so much, and everything's paid for. And they make sure that you have life insurance policy in place from the time you leave your house till the time you've gotten back and you're done surgery and you're out of their care. Like, they give you lost wages, they give you all kinds of things, travel reimbursement if
And I promise
necessary.
we're going to go over all that,
Oh,
Jess. I
okay,
promise.
cool.
Okay. Let's talk about the fact you've been working with the National Kidney Registry, correct?
Yes.
And this is
Wonderful.
their website that's streaming across the page now. When did you first begin working with them?
Before I even was on dialysis, the moment I was made aware that I was going to need a transplant, I was able to start telling people in the world, like, hey, help me. Then I went through my testing and I was approved to be active on the list with UNOS. And they really give you good resources at your transplant center. And they told me that the NKR, National Kidney Registry, that the NKR would give me like business cards and stuff for free. So I worked with them early on before dialysis, being proactive about things. They supply business cards with all my info, my website. I can get order after order after order of them. They supply this microsite, and it really is cool. You know, it's got a picture of me and my family. It's my story about what happened to me and how someone can help me, and they can do it anonymously, however they please. It's really cool. I really like them. They're very helpful.
Okay. You're currently listed for a transplant at Presbyterian Hospital in Albuquerque, New Mexico, correct?
That's right. They have a transplant center. That's right.
All right. And just so people can see again, if I can find it, be a good boy, Jim. All right. This is the link to Jessica's microsite. Her National Kidney Registry story is on
Yeah.
that site. And the link to check and see if you're qualified to donate to Jessica's also on that site.
Hmm.
So you can click on the link, go there, you fill out a few questions. Um, and Jessica mentioned, let me see if I can find that too. Hang on, Jess. Jessica mentioned the protections provided for the donor by the NKR through Donor Shield.
Super
Let's talk
awesome.
about those briefly for a minute. Um, First of all, they have lost wage reimbursement up to $2,000 a week for up to 12 weeks. There's travel and dependent care up to $6,000 for travel and dependent care costs. So if you have children or an adult that needs care at home, they'll cover that. They have kidney prioritization, which means in the event that the donor will need a kidney, after they donate, you'll be prioritized to receive a deceased donor kidney, and you're eligible then for their voucher program and their other donor shield protections. Speaking of voucher donation, you can donate a kidney now at your convenience to someone that needs help for a kidney, even if they need a kidney in the future. There are two types: a standard uh, primary voucher you donate according to your schedule, providing a voucher to someone in immediate need for a kidney transplant, or a family voucher. You can donate according to your schedule for family members who are not in immediate need now, but later might need a kidney. And you can do that for more than one person.
Yeah.
For, for example, PKD runs in my family. If a PKD patient had somebody to donate on his behalf under a family voucher, then if my offspring, for example, had PKD, they will be covered later
Hmm.
in their lives for donation.
It's very cool.
Remote donation, you can avoid air travel for donor evaluation and surgery. This is something that goes on all the time where they expect people to
No,
come
yeah, it's not
to come to
realistic.
them. That doesn't work that way with an NKR center. You're the closest one to you. Donor Connect, it's a free optional program. If you want to talk to somebody, a mentor who's been through the process before, you can do that. They guarantee the best kidney match, access to the latest kidney matching techniques to make sure your kidney goes to the best matching recipient. That makes sure that first of all, the transplant will take and it'll last longer. It includes epaulet matching, which is the most scientific, best development type matching, not just blood type matching. If you're being discriminated against, unlawful termination or insurance discrimination, they provide legal support. If there are complications, they'll provide financial assistance for costs related to donor complications. Their process is time saving. It's a streamlined process that makes donation more convenient. They do blood draws at home. I remember when I was getting a transplant, I always had to go somewhere. I had to go to Chicago. I had to go to Wisconsin. I had to go to Indianapolis, and none of those places are close to me. The closest place is 250 miles from me. But through the National Kidney Registry, if you're going to donate to somebody, they come to you. They send a phlebotomist to you. So,
Uh-huh.
all right. So, let's talk about some of your efforts to try and find a kidney donor. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, immediately I had someone close to me volunteer as soon as they knew that I was going to need one. Um, Unfortunately, that didn't work out. That person had just had a baby and she wasn't deemed eligible for a certain amount of time after she has a baby. So then we went crazy and started creating like websites and, well, my microsites and different pages on Facebook, different groups, making posts, going live, paying Facebook ads to share it all over the place, doing YouTube, doing things. I've done interviews with other people, sort of like this. Um, I have left my business cards on people's windshields. I have left them with a piece of tape on their doors. I have literally done everything I can. I've called radio stations. I have gone down to the news, and believe it or not, they blew me off.
Oh,
They said they
wow.
would help me, and they didn't. I actually recently, you're not going to believe this. I actually went to a concert. I had VIP meet and greets that a friend took me to see a Backstreet Boy. Me and her used to love this when we were kids, and we went to all the concerts together. So this was like nostalgic for us. And we go and we get to meet the one that we love. And I literally handed him a piece of paper. I looked at him and was like, I know you're just a human being at work, but like you have such a following, and I have followed you since 1996. I would love if you could just make a post and share my NKR site. You don't know that you could save my life just sharing that site. Stop right there. That could save my life because you don't know where it's going to end up. And believe it or not, that artist didn't do it. And like I meet and greet, and he told me he would. I handed him just a website, nothing weirdo, like nothing weirdo, just a fan who got to meet you after 20 something years of being in love and supporting you. And I asked you to just share my story so I can get some publicity. I have reached out to different Ellen DeGeneres. I've reached out to different shows. I mean, I have gone far and wide like a crazy person. And I have an amazing amount of views to my NKR site. But that's like the beginning of all that. That's the first donor and how that all played out. Um, I had another donor try. The second donor got really far. This person made it to the very end of testing and had a change of heart for I'm not sure why. Also, somebody actually in the family. And people ask me if I'm resentful towards that person, and absolutely not. I think it's such a big deal to do this. And um, this person has a family and a job that's up and coming, and just really, it wasn't good timing for them. So that fell through. And then another one that was a stranger saw one of my posts that I was going crazy about on Facebook. Um, and he relocated from somewhere in New Mexico to Albuquerque to try to help me, but found his finances to be not enough to survive over here. He needed to go back to where he was, and we're in touch, but for right now, it's just not the right time for him, and I have to respect that.
Okay. Um, let's talk a little bit about your online advocacy experiences. Um, One of the things that you and I have been involved in is I noticed that you have a group on Facebook uh, Never Give Up, NEPHR Give Up, Dialysis Kidney Transplant Recipient and Donor Support USA Facebook group. And the link to that is streaming across the screen
Hmm.
as we speak. And again, I want to remind everybody, everything that we're talking about tonight, if you go to my personal Facebook page, Jim Myers, Myers, on Facebook, this broadcast is pinned to the top of my page, and in the comments is all my research, including every link that we've talked about tonight, and including this one, and a few things we haven't talked about tonight, by the way. So, um, tell us a little bit about the group and what goes on with that.
Well, originally, I just wanted somewhere where people can come and have a safe space to talk about the good days, the bad days, and everything in between. Not just us as patients, but our caregivers, our donors, potential donors, recipients, lifelong dialysis patients. Like it was sort of just a for the whole community. I did a pun, a fun on never, and I used the beginning of nephrology and put a spin on that, and that was kind of fun. Um, it's a place to come and talk about everything, get some advice, ask your questions, see other people's stories, and place of encouragement. You know, you, Jim, you're in there and you're constantly picking people and having these interviews, which is amazing. It's a good group. It's a good group. And I had other ones, but it was a lot to manage. And I feel like the one that you and I are with is pretty solid. So.
Okay, and uh, the group you can find on Facebook, and as she said, we discuss everything, and it's very open. And if you ever need help, or you need advice, or you want to look things up, or you're interested in a broadcast or two, check us out. And you have
Yeah,
any
definitely.
issues, contact either one of us. We're happy to help you.
Absolutely.
All right. Jessica, do you have any final statement that you would like to make to our audience tonight before we conclude the broadcast?
I am just grateful for this broadcast. And if you can't help me, you can just share it. Just share it, public, far and wide. Pick all the hashtags: kidney donor needed, kidney disease, chronic kidney disease. Just anything you can do to share it is at least something. And you can do this anonymously if you want to look into it, or you can absolutely reach out to me or Jim, and we can absolutely have a conversation. But I need this kidney to live. I'm 38 years old. I have an 11-year-old child who has special needs, and I really love my life. I want to go back to normal. I don't want my son saying, "Mommy, do you need a nap first? Mommy, can you do this? Can you eat this?" I I'm I want to get back to normal. I want to be with my child more than anything, and dialysis is not forever. So, if you can't help, just share it, and if you're willing to even look into it, go to that donor screen because that's going to tell you if you're eligible, and you can start right there. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful. And um, you can share her microsite from NKR. You can share the broadcast. What I am recommending to you, I'm going to share it to about 200 Facebook groups over the weekend.
Yeah,
Okay.
awesome.
What I recommend that you do is that you share it to your personal page. Now, why
Yes.
do I say that? Because the people in the kidney Facebook groups are like you and me. They have kidney problems. They can't donate for that reason. Okay. They can share and they can be helpful. Don't misunderstand, but they can't donate a kidney to Jessica. If you share to your personal page, you have friends on your personal page, and I'm making an assumption, but I'm assuming, like most of us, you have friends on your personal page that don't have kidney disease, that
Hmm.
don't have health problems, don't have 6 stents in their heart like your Uncle Jim, don't have a history of polycystic kidney disease like your Uncle Jim. It lost 5 members of my family to PKD, including my dad. So I would not be eligible to donate. But I have friends that would be. So share to your personal page and talk us up, share the broadcast, share the NKR microsite, and let's try to help Jessica find somebody uh, to donate. And let's see if we can help get Jess a kidney. And then
That'd
she
be
can take care
great.
of her husband, take care of her Gage is 11 now, right? 11.
Yeah, he's 11.
Okay. So, that would be very helpful. And, your Uncle Jim, I'm on all kinds of platforms. I'm even on TikTok. So, we'll be making videos on TikTok, sharing the broadcast. So,
So cool.
please share the broadcast. And I want to say, I want to thank Jessica for coming on tonight and sharing her story and being so open with all of us. And she's not feeling well today. She could have canceled, and I would have accepted that because I know what it's like to be sick and be on dialysis at the same time. But she refused to do that, and she's been here. So thank you so much, Jess, for sharing with us and telling us your story and talking to us about all those issues and answering all my questions. I appreciate that
Thank you so
very much.
much.
And we're going to work real hard at trying to get your story out there, okay?
Thank you.
All right. If you want to go, Jessica, you can. I have a couple of things I need to button up with my audience. I'm going to tell them who's on next week and, what's going on and all that sort of thing. But I did want to say you've done a wonderful job, and thank you so much for sharing your story. And boy, what an educational experience. I think folks learn more tonight about every mode of dialysis that there is and they were afraid to ask about. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they
I've
learned
done them
about the
all. So
NKR.
even if there's someone out there that has some questions, I'd be happy to communicate. Just reach out. I'm not an expert, but I have I'm a pain in the butt. That's what I am. And I've done every way of doing this at this point. And I have bad days, I have good days, I have days I feel like giving up, and I have days like saying I'm gonna kick some butt today. So I'm here for everybody just as much as they show up for me.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Again, thank you so much, Jessica, for speaking with
Thank
us.
you.
Well, that is our show for tonight, folks. Our guest next week, December 20th, is Mark J. Rose. He's another kidney patient who is seeking. He's going through some interesting things with his kidney situation. So we're going to talk to Mark about that. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And again, please share the broadcast and share Jessica's NKR story. And I will talk to you again next week.